Do we have an alternative to the Blackmagic A10 Mini Pro? Well, in this video, we're going to explore the Osee GoStream Deck. Cutting in here for a quick second. For a correction, it is the GoStream Deck, not the GStream Deck. GoStream. This is a brand new switcher from Osee. They typically make monitors, production monitors, but they sent this to me for review. This is a brand new switcher. It's not even out yet, so some of the features that you see in this video might not be fully functional just yet. But it's called the GoStream Deck, and what they're advertising is that there's built-in control software, so you don't need a separate computer to control it. It's an all-in-one solution for switching, streaming, and recording. It's also got multi-destination streaming, so you can direct stream up to 3 destinations simultaneously, and multiple interfaces adapt to versatile live events. Now on the back of this, they're advertising the same sort of thing: complete streaming solution, multiple destinations, built-in control, so it's equipped with an internal user interface that allows you to adjust settings without the need of a PC. You have 8 definable macros that you can use. Monitoring, so we do have a program output. There's a Multiview, and there's actually a second output. So there's 2 HDMI outputs, 4 HDMI inputs. This is all HDMI at the time of making this video, but I have to mention that Osee mentioned to me that there is a possibility of an SDI, if not maybe even an SDI and HDMI hybrid switcher coming down the pipeline. So we will wait to see what happens there. I don't want to confirm or deny anything just yet, but they did show me some plans for a switcher that might have HDMI on one side and SDI on the other. Let's do a quick run through what you see here on the panel, how this is a little bit different from the Blackmagic switcher. So first and foremost, you've got a power button, and this is very different from the A10 switchers, which typically you just plug in and they power right on. So it's really nice to see that. I can power this on and off from the press of a button. The live stream button is on the left side now. So we have a button to take it live, which I'll show you in a little bit how we get to those live settings later. We've got our settings for mics 1 and 2. So you've got 2 3.5mm mic inputs, similar to the A10 Minis, Mini Pros, Extremes, all of those. Then we've got inputs 1, 2, 3, and 4, aux and program, and audio follows video, and a mic on button. Now, the big difference here is that we have a program and a preview row for the buttons. So there's actually 1 through 4 on the program row above, and then 1 through 4 on the preview row below, which gives us the capability of switching based on preview and then hitting our cut or auto buttons to switch the shot. But we also have a T-bar, so if we wanted to slowly fade it on our own, we can do that as well. And then we can also just hard press on the program buttons, and that will hard cut. And then we've got the ability to choose based on how we want to cut, auto or a cut. We've got some other buttons down here. There's a still 1 and a still 2 for both program and preview, so very similar to your media player 1 and 2. There's an aux, and then there is black. So we've got that all in the program preview row. We've got our transitions here to the side of that. So there's a mix, dip, wipe, and a prev. I don't know if this means previous or preview, but we will find that out later. And then a fade to black button. Again, with this, I don't know why everybody has the habit of putting a large fade to black button on here. I think Blackmagic kind of started that with the A10s. Don't think it's truly necessary. Would love to see that be smaller and further away from the T-bar, maybe in future iterations, so we don't accidentally press that. Now, macro pads. We have memory 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way up to 8. So there's 8 macros that you can store in here. Then we have a really cool kind of menu button with a dial to navigate through the menu. This dial allows you to turn and press to select things within the menu. We'll show you that shortly. But up here, this is kind of a cool one for me. We have both a record start and stop button, but we also have a forward and back play and stop button for playing back videos, which I'm going to show you the secret here. The videos can actually go onto an SD card. So there's an SD card slot right here on the front of it, and they provided me with a 16 gig card that I can pop right in there. And that SD card allows me to upload files, images, videos for playback, all of that stuff can happen internally in this switcher, which is a big change of pace from what we saw in the ATEM Mini lineup of switchers. So I'm excited for that one. So let's jump over and show you the multi-view. You can see that here. There's actually some graphics and things that are loaded in over there. I don't have any cameras plugged in at the moment, but you can see as I cycle through, the red boxes are changing based on hard cuts on HDMI 1, 2, 3, and 4, or I can select the preview and I can cut to that and switch between each one, and you'll see a green box for what I'm previewing and a red box for what is going into program. Now, of course, you're not seeing anything in the preview and program boxes at the top because I don't have anything selected there. So let's go ahead and preview still 2. There we go. And if I cut, then that will take that still right over to the program. So that gives you an idea of how that works. We've also got the T-bar, so we can do a nice little like fade if we want to, and you'll see it fade in or fade out based on if I'm moving the T-bar. And then let's dive into the menu just a little bit, because this is very different to have a menu that's accessible from the switcher itself. So we have a menu button here that's right on the switcher. I'm going to hit menu, and what you'll see, it comes up on screen right then and there. So this is kind of nifty because we can scroll through this from the switcher itself, from the Osee GoStream. So we can set our custom colors just like we can in the ATEM software control. So I can go into here in color 1, and I can tweak the settings simply by just pressing in on the dial and scrolling. So I can scroll through and change my colors here. And you can see all the colors of the rainbow. Now, if I hit menu, it will take me back to that original menu. Now we've got a super source. So if I go into super source here, it looks like I can enable it and turn it on or off. And then if I had sources, I could go in here and tell it what my sources are. So source 1, source 2, and background. So it looks like my super source here is kind of a picture-in-picture, allows me for 2 sources and a background image. So right now, that still 1 that you're seeing, I could probably set this to still 2 if I go into the settings, still 2. And then I could mess around with the super source. We've got some controls, so we can position things on the y-axis. We can zoom in. Let's see what the style is here. We've got zoom in, crop. So there's a few different features here that, might take a little more playing around with just as you get used to the super source. There's some masking that you can do, so you can mask inputs 1 and 2 probably. Border 1 and 2, so we can put a border around it. And then we've got some keyers, so we can set our keyer type. We've got a luma key. Let's see, there we go. Luma key, chroma key, pattern, picture-in-picture. So very similar style settings. We're just changing this all from the software that's built into this switcher. Luma key, chroma key, key pattern, picture-in-picture. Transition. Let's check our transition out here. So we've got a mix dip, wipe, and then here we have all of our patterns, so we can set them all right here in the switcher. Downstream keyer, so we can tell it what source to use for the downstream keyers. We can adjust the mask, the rate, so I imagine this is the transition. Fade to black. Audio mixer. Whoops. Accidentally exited out of there. Audio mixer, we've got some settings for mic 1 and mic 2. Fader, balance, input, delay, and enables. We can turn them on and off. And then here we can also turn the inputs on and off for 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if you have a microphone that's coming through the camera, you can enable or disable that. Macros, our favorite. So I can go into macro. It looks like we can import and export macros straight from the SD card. So what I found is that when you take the SD card out to a computer, you get some folders that you can put your images, your video, and your macros into. Stream, most important one. We have 3 possible simultaneous streams. And it looks like we've got a whole bunch of platforms that we can go through. We can pop our keys in here. And I believe these keys come from a file that is on the SD card. So you just want to put these in prior to starting. Hit menu to go out of there. So it looks like stream 1, 2, and 3, 3 simultaneous streams. We've got playback, play mode. So we want to make sure that the video plays only one time when we play it. We can do that right here in the settings. And then there's a setting option. It looks like this is where you can look at your version. You can adjust your firmware. You've got some settings like your labels for your multi-view. You've got your meters, so you can turn your meters on and off on the multi-view. Multi-view layout, so you can change your layout. So if I go into here, it looks like I can swap preview and program. So that's kind of nice. Doesn't look like I can swap everything else, but at least preview and program, this is usually how I do it. Some markers, so if we want to turn on markers on preview, we can turn those on for safe margins. Not that we're using those so much, but it's nice to know that it's there. Record file. So we can actually record a file and set the file name. There's a lot of settings in here. Network, so we can set the IP address of the switcher. Button brightness, we know that we all like to have that. So as you can see, this is a pretty full-fledged switcher, and what's really nice is that the menu system is completely built in. It's going to take a little bit of time adjusting to the switcher itself and where all the buttons are and everything, but I am very excited to see if they come out with an SDI version, because I think that this could provide a nice competitive model compared to the A10 Mini. Now, we don't have pricing yet. They haven't released pricing. This product isn't actually publicly available for purchase yet. I'm imagining that the pricing is going to have to be pretty competitive if they're offering up all of these features and things with this switcher. But I'm excited for a couple things. One, I'm really excited that the menu is built into it. There's some settings that I kind of wish were on the switcher itself, like being able to control on and off for the different mic inputs. If your mic is coming through your cameras, your HDMI 1, 2, 3, or 4. I also don't think that the fade to black is totally necessary to have on there, especially when we have black as an input that we can go to and just cut to or auto to fade to. So I think that's a little bit redundant. I love that the video playback has a play and stop button and an advance and back button that allows you to cycle through your videos to play it back directly on the unit. I think that's a really nice touch. Having your macros, of course, on a small A10 like this is fantastic. At least 8 buttons just to get you started. I know that on the bigger switchers, we can house up to, I believe it's 100 macros. So, this might be a little short for what we're used to doing, especially if you use a Stream Deck or anything with a whole ton of macros. But for me, I found, especially on a smaller 4-input switcher, 8 macros should just get you some nice getting started stuff so that you can get the things that you need. I like the menu and the dial system, being able to scroll through that on here. All in all, I think it's a nice little compact switcher. Build quality, this is definitely a similar plastic to what we see on the A10 switchers, but it's got vents for fans on both sides so that we can make sure that there's some nice airflow going throughout. Time will tell as to how warm it gets, but just from having this on right here, I don't even feel anything. It's still completely cold just from having this on for the last 30 minutes to an hour. So I would say that, once we have more cameras plugged in, that's when we'll get the bigger test. But all in all, I'm very excited to see what's happening here with Osee and with their GStream. Be on the lookout for it. It's called the GStream Deck. That's the box for it right here. Again, this is a pre-production model, so once it comes out, there might be some different features, some different settings. Some things may change when they ultimately release this. I think they're going to be looking to us for some feedback as we use these and play around with them. So if you like this video, if you want to check out more switchers, you want to see more gear coming your way, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button down below this video. That tells me that you like this and that you want to see more of this. It also greatly helps out the channel so that I can continue to grow it, and it helps me to create more videos. Thanks so much for watching. This is Zephan Moses signing off, and I will see you next time.